What a weird night of football. Hey guys, it's Stephen here after Manchester City's first Champions League game of the 24-25 campaign. 2025, as if we're saying that crazy. A weird night of football. It might not be weird for you, but it was for me. It felt weird from the start watching City line up in that kit, which to me now is a monstrosity. Sorry. I waited until a game and I don't like it at all. I really don't. I also have very strong opinions, which I'll get onto later about wearing it. But it felt weird anyway. And now I look at the table and I look at the table where we're at and I look at the table and go, well, look at the state of this table, man. Like, what's the point in this table? 36 teams in it, and then now I'm like, oh, none of this sort of means anything, and then I realise none of it matters, and then it's just strange, man. It's just strange. Either way, we drew 0-0. It was not a great game of football, if we're being honest. We probably should have won it in the end. I think we had the chances. I mean, look at the XG there. Big chances. Gundogan missing big headers. We should have scored a couple of goals probably in the end. Inter probably felt that they deserved a draw. But ultimately, despite it being sort of underwhelming, the football not being that exciting at times, I do think in the second half in particular, City were a much better side. The first half, Inter gave us a bit of a threat. You know, they did. I mean, you look at the stats there. These are your first half stats there. Inter, 10 shots to our 9. Our XG was higher, probably had more big chances. But they were more than worth a 0-0 at half-time. They'd scored, it would have been pretty fair. You know, it's one of those things where they were good in that first half. We were pretty poor. Second half, I thought City were much better. We were the better side by a long way in that second half. Even if the football wasn't fully fluid, there was still some really nice moments. I look at the lovely one-touch football that left Foden in the centre from a few yards out, put it straight at the keeper. I look at a couple of loose touches in the area which should have led to a goal. I look at Gundogan heading two very clear chances over from good crosses, which should have gone in the back of the net. We should have won that. We should have won that 1-0, I reckon, in the end. I don't feel the anger that the internet seems to feel. I don't get the frustration immensely. People seem to be very pissed off online, and I don't really get it. Like, I feel like people are not willfully, but naively forgetting just what Guardiola's teams are like at this stage of the season. We started the season quite nicely, actually. We usually start much slower than we have done, but still, we are in the early nascent stages of the season. Occasionally, the form will dip a little bit. Occasionally, it will look a little bit rusty as teams change and offer different things in front of us. There's a reason Guardiola sides are better winter onwards. Do you want to know why? You know the reason. You could answer it straight away. You're probably screaming right now at the screen why City are better in the second half of the season. You know it deep down. It's because Manchester City play such an intricate system. They play such a complicated way of playing. It requires everyone to be absolutely perfect for it to fully work, because there's so many gears spinning constantly. And if one is a little bit loose, it's going to grind to a halt very easily. And I think what Guardiola does by winter, he sort of worked out what needs to change and who's working the best and who's playing the best. And he works out little tweaks here and there. And you get Man City from January, February onwards, and we sort of we cruise it usually because we're a well-oiled machine. It takes City a long time, basically, because our football is more complicated. As a result, it takes longer to get going. You know, it's just an orchestra. It's not a guy with acoustic. A sound check takes an awful long time for an orchestra. And that is just how it is, man. It's how it is. But guess what? The orchestra sounds a damn sight better usually than a guy in your pub with one mic and an acoustic guitar. So that's the reality of it. We're an orchestra. Give them time to sound check, and that's where City are going through right now. Having said that, I still don't really feel the frustration even then. Like, I didn't think we were that bad. We weren't great in that first half, you know. We weren't perfect, a little bit sloppy defensively, but we still made some big chances. Top of my head now, you know, Bernardo should have had a very good shot, big shot on goal. It was a really decent chance for Bernardo, you know. Savinho scuffed one. De Bruyne got in behind. Holland had a good header. We had some decent moments in the second half as well. Of course, Foden missing a very good chance. Gundogan missing very good chances. And, you know, I saw someone saying Gundogan looks a bit old. Brian, I think that's a little bit harsh. You bear in mind, it's early on, man. Like, Gundogan got in the positions that he usually does. And I guarantee you, if that's April or May, Gundogan's probably scoring those because that's what he's like. He deserves time like everyone else. And he could turn around and say that Foden wasn't that sharp. I think Foden snatched at things a little bit. He looked a bit erratic. It was great to see him back on the pitch, but Foden was taking shots where he could have took a few more touches and he looked a little bit rusty because he probably is rusty. And for me, you know, I'm not really worried. I'm not really worried because I just don't see the reason to worry. We're not a finished article. De Bruyne went off at half-time. I'm looking forward to see what Guardiola has to say about that. Fingers crossed it's nothing serious. I hope it's just a precaution, and they were planning to take him off anyway for Foden. Look, I don't really feel you can read too much into this right now. We probably should have won. A draw doesn't feel that unfair. I feel, there's a little bit of frustration because we didn't win. People are getting far too fussy. On the positives, look, it was great to see Phil Foden back on the pitch. It's great to see Gundogan get into those positions. He probably could have done a little bit better, but getting those positions and probably scoring those goals, great. As you can see there, Josko Vardiol, a really good game, man. I'm reading his stats here right now. I'll go over to Twitter for you. There we go. Look at these stats here from Josko Vardiol. 98 touches. 96% pass accuracy, 8 passes into the final third. Just a remarkable game from a very good player. It's one of those things where, I am not going to lose sleep over it. I don't think it's a big deal. I really don't think it is. I think the only thing I would say is, my genuine opinion on the group stages, I was quite excited when I saw the list of fixtures. It's a bunch of teams that we haven't played before. But I've realised, as exciting that is, I've realised that's all very good. But there has to be a narrative. Football's all about narrative. And the one thing I actually realise now is when I look at that table, I have no idea who anyone's playing next week. Unless you're looking at the fixtures. Usually, I know the groups after 2 games. I pretty much know who everyone's got because you know the groups off the top of your head. I've got no idea who anyone's playing there because who's going to remember 36 individual rounds of fixtures? No one is going to remember that. So the point I'm making here is, as we sit in 14th or whatever, is that I guess the way I can word it is that I feel sort of disconnected from it because basically you're just in a random table full of teams that you're never going to play. You're going to play the vast majority of the teams. The table won't really make any difference until right at the very end. There's going to be no narratives forming because you haven't got any head-to-heads with teams that you've already played or anything like that. It's going to be all just a little bit meh. It's a random, disconnected bunch of games. You're very much in your own bubble, I would argue. You're in your own bubble, focusing on your own team, not looking at anyone else, which is sort of how it happens. But you're always looking at your table usually and your teams and your group table. And I very quickly realised you're going to play more games and they're going to feel all more random and disconnected. So yeah, it'll be fine, but I've realized it's not actually joyous for me as a football fan. It's just a little bit meh. It's just I'm not thinking, what's Bayern gonna do? We got them coming up soon, or Celtic. None of these teams up until Juventus, they're relevant to us. They're absolutely irrelevant. But then I don't know Juventus are playing them. I don't know. I haven't got a clue who Juventus are playing. They're not even playing the same connection. It's just but there were bubbles within a table, Andrew. They were literally tables. We knew exactly what Leipzig had to do against blah blah and etc. So no, they weren't disconnected. You were in a little league table that made sense, a small league table. It made sense. You're in a giant league table now that makes no sense. And Danny, I actually always do aim for 115 likes. I always aim for 115 likes. I do, unironically. And you can't use that against me, mate. I always aim for 115 likes on this video, so I'm not scared of that. But basically, what I'm saying is, I can't even remember every game we're playing. I can't. Off the top of my head, I can't remember who we're playing. I'd probably, if I sat and thought about it, I probably could. If I scroll through the table, I can tell you who we're playing. But I can't remember every single game straight away. I've got no idea where anyone else is playing. I can't remember. And essentially what I'm saying, if you've got no idea what's going on, it's not a good structure. It's like a plot with random plot points going on. There's no plot, there's no narrative until it gets into an actual structure and format where you can look at it and see it. I'm saying as a format, it makes no sense from a narrative perspective. It doesn't. It's bad story writing is what I would say. Anyway, that's sort of irrelevant to the point. We probably should have won, probably should have won. I'm not bothered about the game. I think we'll be fine. Arsenal will be interesting. We'll see how it goes. Look, and the people are saying we couldn't break them down. Look, it's very early on. You don't play many teams like Inter, do you? But we actually did break them down and miss chances, if we're being totally honest, man. Doku came on, created chances. Savio didn't really create anything, if we're being honest. Look, that could have easily been a 1-0, and we would have said we deserved it, and fair enough, It's a weird game of football. By the way, I also, my mind is not developed enough. No, I understand it, mate. I'm just not capable of remembering 36 individual rounds of fixtures that are also relevant to my team. My mind is more than developed enough. I just know what's good storytelling and what's bad storytelling. It's totally bizarre, and it's nothing. Look, I tell you why they're doing this, Ashwani. They're doing it because it means more money. They're not doing it because it's a better competition, mate. They're doing it because it means more money. Everyone knows that. More teams, more money, more games. That's the only reason they're doing it. They're not doing it because it makes more sense. They're doing it because it makes more money. So my mind is more than developed to understand it. It's just a stupid format. 4 groups of 9 would have been way better. Absolutely. Of course it would have been much better, JCM. I would absolutely agree with that. And then put the top 4 after that going through each time. It's just, you look at it and it's an actual fact that the vast majority of what happens in the league is sort of irrelevant. It's just random games. And then you go, oh, look at a table. And it's you'll finish ahead of a team that you never played against that has no relevance to you. And you have no idea who the teams you're play against, really, unless you got some fucking, savant-like memory. No one can remember that many rounds of fixtures. It's stupid. It's stupid. But anyway, that was arguably our hardest game of the league stage out of the way. I also want to moan about the kit. Look, I'm sorry. Look, don't play. Look, I don't lose sleep over it, but don't ever fucking use an away kit at home. Some things will be untouchable. It feels tacky. It's a marketing gimmick. And I wasn't sure how I felt about the kit. Now I've seen it on the pitch, I think it's a piece of crap. It looks like a tea-stained piece of paper. I don't like it at all. I don't ever fucking cheapen Man City again by playing an away kit at home. Some things mean something. Respect the sanctity of the brand, of the club, of the history, and playing fucking blue. It's not complicated, is it? Stop making home games in the Champions League a marketing gimmick. Look. I don't mind it's a 4 kit if you want to use it, but don't use it at home, man. It's marketing. It sends the message that everything can be sold and everything's up for marketing, and to me, it cheapens it. It cheapens Manchester City. So, yeah, that's how I feel about it. Onto the actual game itself, as you can see, I feel like I've been caught in a sort of capitalism loop tonight. I feel very ground down. Empty seats everywhere because the tickets are so fucking expensive. We're playing in a 4th kit designed by a rock star for money reasons, and not a home kit. We're playing in a random group stage for money reasons that makes no sense. It all feels very much like modern football, and I feel like an old man shouting out the clouds. So I'm getting very annoyed, and I need to calm down. And I think I'm also getting annoyed how frustrated everyone is. Everyone's overreacting. Look, what I will say is I'm aware we didn't play that great tonight, but look, you got to pay attention, man. This is not new information. We've been watching Guardiola sides play pretty slowly or erratically at the start of the season for nearly a decade now. We all know that Guardiola sides take a while to get going, so I'm never going to lose sleep over that. I'm happy to see Foden back. It's still lovely to see Gundogan on the pitch. Haaland wasn't really involved tonight. It wasn't his fault. KDB, we'll see how that goes down. Fingers crossed it's not a big deal. I don't feel like it will. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Is there any quotes? Is there any quotes? No, Guardiola said he hasn't spoken to the doctors yet. No idea. Guardiola's happy. He said absolutely everything about what he liked. He said Rodri played good, really good. He played really good. Always he plays really good, Rodri. I'll bring up the quotes for you now, lads. Where are we gone? I hate. The kit's really. I don't like the kit at all. I think the colours are horrible. I think they really are. Ruben Diaz said it was a very intense game against a very strong opponent. We knew what was coming. They're a top team. They're used to winning, and we know they're not going to have an easy job. In the end, I think the team had great performance. We were close to scoring. We take it, we move forward, but it's a very good test as well to play such a strong side. Gundogan had 2 chances. Foden, yeah, etc., etc. Let me refresh that. No, I haven't got a lot to say about this game. It's early on. I'm not quite as down on Grealish as everyone else. I don't think he played great tonight, but I think a lot of people didn't. Grealish had a lot of key passes, actually. He was involved a lot. Grealish's biggest problem is that he could not stop a shot, man. He can't stop a shot to save his life. He fucking always hits the first man, which drives me mad. He can't get a shot away. If someone could teach him one day to not hit the first man, we'd be absolutely sailing, And I don't think there's anything in. I don't think you can analyze Foden's performance, Naum 900. I think there's nothing in it. Like I think there's no possible way to analyze the performance, which is his first back since the Euros, or second, but he's been injured. I don't think England. Look, to be honest, if anything, Phil was just trying too hard. He was trying to get his goal. It looked like he was trying to kickstart his season, and he's you can't analyze it. You can't analyze it at all. So it's one of those things. Yeah. It's one of those things where, look, it's very early days. The format is strange. We'll go through, obviously, because there's little to no jeopardy for Man City. We're too good not to win 5 out of the 8 games we play, whatever it is. We will do. We'll go through. And then we'll see from there, really. Guys, I'm going to get some thoughts together. I'm going to give it a rest there because I think it was a strange night of football. In a bit, thanks for watching. Like the video, subscribe. Bye-bye.